All right, so welcome everyone. What we will be working on for the next 4 weeks. So today, video. Today we are going to be working on our uh, video for the focus is going to be your events marketing um, client, hospice of Waterloo Region. And with that PSA, it's now going to be a PSA style, so public service announcement style, or we can still do a promo for your event. So you might not have a date set for your event, but the idea, Catherine figured, because we don't have specific dates for our events, because we don't know when those might be happening, you can that's why she decided a PSA style video might be more beneficial, because then you don't have to have any dates included. They can always be added after the fact. um, so PSA can be just like your infographics. What point do you want to talk about in your PSA? So you've already done an infographic. Most of you have did hospice as your infographic, and with that information, you can use that information to create your PSA video. You only need a minimum of a 30-second video to produce, 30 seconds to a maximum of 1 minute. Okay. So it's not overly long. You saw your Bell Let's Talk video. Remember how nice and short that was? It was only 30 seconds. Again, you can take up to a full minute. You do want to keep that 30 seconds or a minute. You could do a 45-second video, but keep it in increments of 15 seconds. Why, you may ask? Why 15 seconds? Because if they book time to as an ad on YouTube or on television, it needs to be in blocks of 15 seconds. That's how they sell ad space on and air time for advertising on those platforms. Okay. If you're putting up on Instagram, you need a different format. And so for anyone who has Instagram or you're using TikTok, whatever platforms you're using, you need to be aware of the sizing of your promo video or your PSA. There are different formattings for those. So Instagram is square, YouTube is 16:9 ratio, so it's wide, it's this way. TikTok is this way, is vertical, it's portrait. So you have to be aware of what platform you're creating it for, and then make sure that that's included in your information when you submit your ad for what platform it is, because we do not want to have our video portrait. If you show it on YouTube, YouTube has to fill the gap on either side of that little vertical video that ends up being centered in the frame. So what you want to do is do a horizontal video. So the nice thing is Photoshop is set up to do that for you. So you can use Photoshop, but of course you don't have to. So this is going to be one of those. I'm just finishing the outline, which will be ready this afternoon for the video, based on Catherine's content. I just need her to review and approve it and send me the approval before I share that with you. But we learned to do it in Photoshop. You're welcome to do your video in Photoshop. Absolutely. But you're also welcome to do it in any other movie editing software you want. So if you're on a Macintosh computer, you can use iMovie. If you're on a PC, you can use Movie Maker. I have one called Movavi, a paid subscription to one called Movavi that I like to use. There's also this great one that it's paid subscription. It's $32 a month Canadian, but it's called Animoto, and it's awesome. What I want you to avoid, though, is if, like, Animoto has a free version, sure, but do you know what it does? It puts their logo in the upper right hand corner. We don't want anybody else's branding on our video. So if you're going to do that, you're going to go on an online subscription-based video, please do not use one where once you download it, it's watermarked with their own logo. We want to avoid other people's logos in our videos. So you can use any platform you want. There's one called, Adobe has one called Adobe Rush. There's also one you can download from Adobe since you have access to it, Premiere Pro, for anyone who's ever used it. Also a great tool for editing software. It's a lot more complex than the basics of Photoshop that we used. But again, and I emphasize, you will be graded on your content and how you edited it and put that together into a cohesive message. Okay, so a visual communications piece. All right, does that make sense? Do you have any questions about the video?
Caroline,
Yeah.
so for example, is it okay if we, like when we put the video together, in your class, you told us to use our voice. Is it
Yes.
okay if we can use someone else's, like we do
Yes.
the assignment? My voice is terrible. I realized last time.
It's not terrible, but I do understand you can have anyone read your voiceover. Yes. You could even ask a member of hospice, if you have somebody there that if you've had meetings with them, correct? You could ask one of them to do the voiceover. You could have anyone in your group do the voiceover. So you can have anyone do the voiceover, but the idea is that you have a voiceover to discuss the content, right? So yeah, you don't have to use your own voice. You have to write it, but you can have anyone read that for your recording. Okay. So once I get that outline approved by Catherine this afternoon, hopefully later this afternoon, I'll put it up in the announcement. And then if you have any further questions, by all means, please email me. If I don't get back to you within 24 hours, please text me that you've sent me an email, because of course I always have problems with my email as well. But I always see my texts. It's always sitting right here, screaming at me to answer messages. All right. So what we are going to do in class today is we're going to be talking about storyboards. So your next milestone, again, your milestone.
Excuse me, Caroline.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I'm not in the events program. So could
Yes,
I do
I will have something. Yeah, you and I will discuss something outside of that you want to do.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so everybody else though is in the events marketing course, right? I think it's only Duo who isn't in it. Yeah, so you and I will we'll talk about something else that you can do. So what we are going to do is, whoops, I just lost your page. There we go. So let's take a look at week 9, and week 10 is open, week 11 is open, and week 12 is in class working on our magazine project. We're just going to take the whole class, go page by page by page to make sure you've got everything. It's set up. I want to take as much of that week to finish up what we need to finish up so that you're not working on content in week 13 and 14 when you're supposed to be working on your capstone. I'm overseeing one group in your capstone as your mentor, FYI. And so you'll find out what client you got and who your mentor is for that project this week with Trish. All right. And I'll be probably watching a couple more of your pitches as well. So that being said, your pitches as well for your capstone, I might not be teaching you anymore after week 12, but again, I'm accessible. So if you have any questions about your PowerPoints, your presentation, even if I'm not your mentor for your capstone group, please set up a meeting with me. I'm happy to review your content with you. Okay. All right. So week 9, storyboarding. All right. So we are going to talk about the PSA. Oh no, your PowerPoint disappeared. All right, the PowerPoint that was supposed to be in there disappeared. I was doing some rearranging to simplify the next 4 weeks for you, and I eliminated your PowerPoint. That was pretty dumb. So I'll have to put that back in there for you. So I have to find it first. All right. Any other questions about the next few weeks? Are you feeling okay about the next 4 weeks? All right, it's going to be going to be busy. It's going to be really busy. If you're feeling overwhelmed about anything from my class, please again reach out. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help there. And all right. Whoops. And someone's coming late to class. All right. I'm going to have to open it from another class. I'm going to have to open it for my SMC class because it appears it's disappeared altogether. Because, you know, that's what happens. The importance of video. Here we go. And I will upload this in the week 9 schedule. So just a second, new share, PowerPoint. Can you see it? There we go. Can you see the PowerPoint? All right, we're good. All right, so let's move forward with our video. So we're going to talk about what the objectives are here. So I also have provided this Word doc. This is a Word doc also with more detail that you can put it in your magazine project. So we'll be discussing that later on as well for the next 4 weeks, because we're going to do as much in class as possible. This particular video has to be done on your own time. So you will be creating a storyboard for that's your milestone 4, which again, as soon as I get that approved, got to get that approved by Catherine today and get that to you. And then you'll be using that and creating this for your hospice client for your events marketing class. All right. So getting started, what is your objective? What's your goal of your message? So if you're creating a PSA or a promo video, a promotion about the event, what's your goal? What's your key message? Who is your audience? So style, tone, and how you speak to them is going to be really important here. And what is your message? And back to Esther's point about the voiceover that you can write to oversee the visual content. Your message can be recorded by anyone. You might want to reach out to somebody at the organization that might be willing to record that for you.
Carolyn?
Yes?
Catherine has made it clear that I don't think we're allowed to contact anybody from the hospice.
Really?
Without her. She's like the in-between.
Oh, okay. Well, if you run this by her, and I will be, I'll tell her I told the class that it might be a good idea to reach out to one of them, one of the org heads that might want to actually be the voiceover. So I'll mention that in the email and we'll see what she says. All right. But as the go-between, maybe she can connect. I'm surprised that not as a group, you didn't have a set up for like a weekly check-in with the client, but I'm not the prof. So, but I'll run that by Catherine for you. Okay. And hopefully, because it would be nice to have a member of the organization, especially if there's an image of them in your PSA. So, or would they be willing to have any of their clients give a testimonial that could be spoken as well? So anyway, I'll talk to Catherine about that for further clarification. If not, then it'll be you recording the voiceover or somebody that you know that could read that and record that for you. So it doesn't have to be your voice, but you'll want to have a recording over top of that. So thank you for letting me know. I'll reach out to Catherine on that. All right. SMART objectives. Have you covered SMART objectives in your marketing class? So probably. So I see Terry's like going, oh my God, have we ever covered this? Yeah. So please use it as you prepare for your goals, for your messaging, for your PSA video. Because where are you going to be sharing this video? So when you're creating your storyboard, which I'll show you how to do that after we dissect one of my favorite PSAs from Wimpy's Diner of all places. We're going to break that down, and you will see they had a specific goal. It was very specific. It was really, really well done. It was measurable. The video itself that we're going to be watching actually provides you with some of those measurement tools. So that's great. So we'll be able to use some metrics there. If you're going to share it on YouTube, then you have data analytics that can provide you with information. How many people clicked on it? How long did they stay and watch the whole video? Was it shared? So you've got all those metrics for sharing that information. Also, what other ways can you measure the effectiveness of a campaign? Did they go to a particular website? Did you tell them to look for more information? And maybe you have a specific page on the website, but what if traffic spikes on their information page because of your ad? So you'll be able to measure the effectiveness of that as well. You can assume that when you put out a promo ad like this or a PSA, if people are looking for more information, you'll see a spike in looking for more information on their webpage. So that can be included in your data. Is it achievable, what you're doing? So can you accomplish that? Is it manageable? What is your message and what is it that you're doing? Is it relevant to both the client, the hospice, and the target market that you've identified, your target audience for this message? And then time bound. Does it have to go through a specific date? Now, if you are creating a PSA, a public service announcement type video, it might have a very long span of time that it can be live, it can be used. And the reason for that is it's just information based. It's not event date based, right? Because you're creating an event, you're going to propose an event, but they don't know when they're going to be able to implement those events. So there are no dates involved. So when it comes to time bound in this particular project, maybe it's not timeless, but maybe it can run for a good span of time, which is actually a good selling point for a PSA, when you can run it for a long time and take advantage of being able to share that to several audiences over a good length of time. Right? So there's things that you can do in your video here. So when we're looking at our objectives for messaging, so what is it that you're trying to do with your PSA? So are you building brand awareness? How many people know about Hospice of Waterloo Region? Sharing stories of customer success or testimonials. Some of you put testimonials, quotes from people who have used the service and found it to be of huge comfort to them using Hospice's services. Generate demand. Well, this is kind of one of those things like, well, let's provide you with some people with terminal illness. No, that's not what this is all about. What you're doing in this particular PSA for hospice is you want people to feel comforted, people to feel comfortable coming to them for help in these circumstances, right? And then convince your audience to take action. So what action do you want them to take? You want them to look for more information. So what kind of information are you going to provide? Do you want them to call? So provide a call to action in your PSA. which can include a web address, it can include a phone number, it can include both. Okay. So goals of your messaging. All right. So don't forget your SMART objectives. They're always good. They're smart, right? All right. So now creation of content. So there could be lots of things that you could do to create content here. So for our Bell PSA, we went at pexels.com and we downloaded some video and we used their video clips. And I pay for a source where I get videos, but you can also produce your own video. Okay. So that's using your cell phone. It's easy to use, right? To capture video. But you can also use other so if you're in the industry and you're tasked to create this PSA, what are you going to do for your content? So budgets are always going to be a key factor. What is their budget? Do you hire a videographer? Do you hire an agency who has videographers on staff, or freelancers that can do the work for you? And sometimes the agency will take care of the whole video itself. They'll write it, they'll produce it, and they'll create it for you. You could always have already produced content. You can buy it. So I belong to a video platform where I can purchase video, but you can also get some free copyright-free sources, and then you can produce the content yourself. So there are many, many ways in order to get the video you need. Now, remember too that still images, photography, graphics, logos can also be part of your video, right? It doesn't have to be moving images. So video, it can be still images as well that can help tell the story visually. So you can have a combination of video and photography and graphics. And you'll see in the PSA that I'm going to show you shortly from Wimpy's Diner how effective some text on slides can be as well in your video. All right, so we're going to learn how to do this today. We're going to write a storyboard. I have provided you with one of the students from 2 years ago, Sharu. She's allowed me to use hers as an example. Now, she wrote a video for life as an IMC student, and then it turned into the PRIC program. And so I'm going to share her video, but I'm also going to share her storyboard with you, because she said, I'm not drawing little pictures, am I? And I said, you don't have to draw little pictures. So some of you might want to use software, and I provided templates for you where you can draw little pictures, drag and drop little graphics. There's lots of different ways you can produce a storyboard. And a storyboard is what, if you've ever seen a movie in your life, what do they have? A storyboard. It shows a visual of what's happening in that scene, and then a description of the scene below it. And that's exactly what a storyboard is. There are storyboard artists out there, that's all they do. So there's a cool Lord of the Rings background information about the making of the Lord of the Rings, and you'll see these giant, awesome, they're like giant cue cards of these various storyboards on what scene is being shot and what is in that scene. But if you don't want to draw little pictures, you can describe it. You can write it out in a Word doc. So you can say, this is what's in my scene, and describe it, and then the text that's going to be part of that scene. So I provided you with the example from a past student and her storyboard. So you have two methods to create your storyboards: pictures and descriptions, or simply Word doc descriptions, right? And I've also provided you with templates. Your template, you can do it in Word. You can do it, a PowerPoint can be your storyboard, right? Image and then text in the notes field. Really easy to produce a storyboard. The whole idea of a storyboard is to plan. You're planning your whole video, okay? All right. timelines, working out your timings. So each scene has an approximation of length. And so when we go through the Wimpy's video I'm going to show you, we're going to watch the whole way through, and then we're going to go back to the beginning and see how much time they left each image, each sequence in the frame for that scene. So we're going to break it down bit by bit by bit for the first 15 seconds to 1 minute of the video. And I'm going to show you how that's broken down, and then what you can put in your storyboard for your descriptions and how they planned this out. So then you add up all your approximations and decide how long your video is going to be. So how much time do you have? If you've ordered a 30-second, you have booked a 30-second ad space, you've got 30 seconds, my friend. And it's got to be 30 seconds, not 28, not 32, 30, because it's getting cut off as soon as it's over. And you will see sometimes that some ads, you might have seen an ad for a product that's a minute long. Then you'll see that exact same ad edited down to a 30-second ad. And sometimes that 30-second ad is broken down into a 15-second ad. So it's been edited down. They're using some of the same clips, but they've used it 3 different times: 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and 1 minute. So it depends on the platform it's on, the expense of that platform, and how much time they can afford to run their ad. Okay. So your particular PSA, minimum of 30 seconds, maximum of a minute. If you want to go for a full minute and a half, that's something, it depends if you're going to put it on a paid advertising spot, or is this something that they can upload and embed in their website as a video, a PSA video. Okay, so if you have more time and you've got some ideas there, let me know. Because why am I only giving you minimum of 30 seconds, maximum of a minute? And that's because you need to be concise with your information. I don't need this long embellishment of information. I need to hold their attention for just that short amount of time. And so you need to be more precise and concise with the information that you're providing for that particular video. All right, producing content. There's another thing we have called B-roll. So whenever you're shooting, you've got your storyboard and you know exactly what you want in every single scene. Great. But now you might have to fill some gaps. How do you fill gaps? What do you use to fill those gaps? Do you have one continuous shot that you've described in that scene? Or do you have 4 different angles? Top, side, close up, far away. Maybe you have 4 different shots for that particular scene. So you've described it in one image in the scene, but perhaps by shooting different angles of that scene, you have options now on how you're going to visually communicate that content. And I'm going to show you that, what that looks like in this next PSA I'm going to show you. So when we call that B-roll, we just get extra stuff that we need, that we might need for filler or for visual interest. So there's lots of ways you can do that. You can even animate text. And the Wimpy's Diner video I'm going to show you is animated text. All right. So someone's making a shake upstairs. All right. So what production software can you use? So you can use anything you want. I taught you how to use Photoshop to produce and edit a video, but you can use anything. You can use Adobe Premiere Pro, which is Adobe's film editing software. If you've heard of the movie Hugo by Martin Scorsese, they edited that entire movie in Premiere Pro. Then we have some other professional video editing software. My husband is a photographer and videographer. He uses Final Cut Pro. It's an industry professional software for producing video. It's pretty complex. There's a lot of, it's pretty complex. But for anyone who is already into video editing, these are the top 2 available. for professionals. Okay. Then we have Adobe Photoshop, which I already showed you how to use as a really nice, simple alternative to those. There's iMovie, there's Movie Maker. I use Movavi. Again, there's platforms, all sorts of movie making platforms online. Just be aware that they might be watermarked with their branding. And we don't want that. We do not want any of the whoever you use online, we don't want any of their branding in those videos. So if you want a free trial, it's going to be branded or watermarked. So just be aware of that and make an effective choice for that particular video. Okay. So there's lots of, I have in the notes field of this PowerPoint, once I get it up there, there's other video production titles that are available out there as well. So if it can edit video, you can use it. Okay. And then connecting with your audience. Okay. So you've created your video. How have you engaged them? Have you engaged them? Have you caught their attention? So you need to connect to your audience. And we use this in advertising. We use emotions a lot in our advertising, and think about the content of what you're doing. Hospice. But we don't want hospice to be a negative thing, right? We want hospice to be a positive thing for people who are going through bereavement and people at the end of their lives. And so how do you create a video that's somewhat uplifting with such a dire circumstance? So we want to use emotions and empathy, but what are the benefits to those who would be coming to hospice? Okay. So advertising, promotional messages, what is the benefit to the consumer? And in this particular case, your audience, if they're going to use hospice, if they're going to use them, what's the benefit to them? So that should be part of your messaging, what the benefits are. Okay. So do you have a benefit statement? Then we have a lot of you in your infographics had your missions and your visions. And so there's values in that as well. Does your audience share the same values as what hospice is offering? So there's lots of different things that you can do for your PSA. Now, I'm discussing hospice today. However, depending on your product, depending on your client, what are their needs? What are their needs for that communication piece? So these are all sorts of things that you can apply to your messaging. And then, of course, your visuals. What are you going to show in that? All right. And then what platforms are you going to share your video on? So if this is when you're creating this should be multifaceted in the sense that it could go on different platforms. Whenever I produce a video, I usually produce it for YouTube. So I'm going for the 16:9 ratio. Like I showed you in Photoshop. In Photoshop, when you get into your timeline, you can choose, it says film and video right at the top in your menu. You can choose what platform and what ratio you need for whatever platform you're going to. Again, TikTok is vertical, YouTube is horizontal, and Instagram is almost square. So you have to be aware of what platform you're creating and producing that video for. All right. And then how often are they checking these platforms? So if you're going, you can even share them on Facebook, right? You can embed them in a website. So when it comes to sharing your video, you have to decide where it's going to be displayed. All right. And then, of course, you have your social media questions. How often are they checking those platforms? What time of day? Which days of the week? Which devices are they using to look at those videos? So if you have a social media strategy around sharing this video and it's got a message in it that's timely to something that's going on, then you'll want to make sure that you address that in the choices that you make for your different platforms. I am only going to assume that you just need to share this on YouTube and have it available that you can share on Facebook. It can be shared as a link on Twitter, and it can also be embedded in their on their webpage. But I could be assuming wrong. So this is your project. This is your decision making on this strategy and how you're going to use that. All right. And then, of course, we've got great SEO. When you upload those videos, don't forget your digital marketing class. Okay. So SEO is really important. And also, when we're talking about the message and the language being used, you probably don't want an upbeat tone and this happy music happening in the background. As much as you want to make it upbeat, we also have to be aware of the the type of service that this is. So when you're uploading these, consider some of the keywords that people are going to be using to locate your services. So please implement your digital marketing's learnings for SEO, search engine optimization words. What are they going to be looking for? So that you can think about those types of words too in your messaging. It also helps with creating your messaging for your video as well. And then how do you prove your video ROI? And what is your ROI? So return on investment isn't always monetary, right? Maybe it's how many clicks through on their web page. Maybe it's how many people signed up for a particular program. Maybe you're running a seminar and that's part of your strategy. And so how many people signed up for the seminar? So there's lots of different ways to measure your ROI. Again, not always monetary. Okay, so use those Google Analytics, read those metrics, and make sure that you've applied those to wherever you've uploaded your file for viewing. Okay, so if the video is going to be embedded on a web page, then that's up to the web developer. Probably has Google Analytics set up and for insights on that particular video. All right, so we're going to get started, and I'm going to show you. It's 10 years old, this video, but it's still one of my favorite for content and for the way it's broken down and how it's and just the success story of this particular video. All right, so here we go. And I might have to reshare my screen here. Okay. So let me do a new share. All right, so I'm going to show you my favorite PSA. Wimpy's Diner. So we're going to watch the whole thing through, including the results of their ad and why it was so successful. And then we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to break it down by scene so you can understand how to put your storyboard together. All right, so hopefully, can you let me know if you cannot hear it? Because if I have to change my settings for my computer here so you can hear the video. So yell it out if you can't hear it. Can you hear the music? Can everyone hear it when it plays?
Yeah, I heard the music.
You heard the music? Okay, good. So here we go. I'll show the whole thing now. From the beginning.
Wow.
People from Wimpy came to tell us that they have Braille menus in all of their restaurants. This means that there is now a receipt for
But Wimpy have brought out some absolutely astonishing Braille burgers.
And back home, Wimpy's campaign on efforts to let visually impaired people know that Braille menus are available in all of their restaurants.
All right. So what did you think of that ad? It used to make me tear up, but I've seen it so many times now. But yeah, the first many times I watched it, actually, it teared me up just to see how happy the people were in the ad. So great story. 15 burgers, 800,000 mentions within their target market, and then worldwide attention. So excellent, excellent piece. You never know what the success of these things are going to be or what that magic formula is. But this one gained quite a bit of attention. So let's break it down, shall we? Now that we've watched the whole thing, let's take a look at how their storyboard would have been written out. So what does that mean? We're going to go frame by frame. So when you're writing out your storyboard, what's going to be in the scene? What am I going to see visually on the screen for that particular scene? And in this particular case, they've got animated text. Now, there are free platforms out there for animated text. You might have to pay to download without their watermark, but I use one called Powtoon. So you can do some kind of cool animations with that. Powtoon is more cartoony though, so it might not be quite the thing you want for hospice. But you can use PowerPoint. PowerPoint can do animated text. So I'm going to show you a quick example of what you can do if you wanted to do some animated text like Wimpy's. And then because PowerPoint can be exported as an MP4, you've got your movie clip. You've got your animated text movie clip that you can insert as text into your video if you'd like. But since you're doing a voiceover, you probably don't need that a lot of text in your video. You'll probably be putting a lot of imagery in your video. But that's up to you. Depends on what kind of creativity and what you're going for your messaging. All right, so we are starting this video at 5 seconds here. So let's see how long it takes to read this text. So Wimpy, and we make it to 12 seconds. So this is up for 7 seconds, this particular frame. Now, here's the rule of thumb. If you're going to put text on your screen, it has to be up long enough for you to read it, but not read it in your head. The trick is whenever you put text on the screen, how long does it take to read it out loud? So, and not like Wimpy, one of the most loved fast food joints. No. Wimpy, one of the most loved fast food joints in South Africa. So you want to make sure you have the cadence to be able to read this out loud. And that's how long that scene needs to be on screen. Okay. So whenever you have text on screen, it's got to be up long enough to read it. So we've got 7 seconds for this particular scene. Now we're moving on to scene 2. So scene 1, text, what goes in your box, if you're going to draw this out, you're going to put text, animated text. You're describing what's going to be in that frame. And then your description is, Wimpy, what's the text that's going to be read in that animated text? So you've got scene, you just write it. You don't have to draw anything. Just write it, animated text. And then what is the text that's going to be on that screen? And then what is how long, what's the timing of that frame? Well, you've read it out. And this is where I use my phone a lot because our phones are magic boxes, right? And on this magic box is a timer. So I time myself reading this out loud and go, okay, it's going to take 7 to 8 seconds. I'm going to put 7 to 8 seconds for that particular frame. Now in my storyboard, I'm moving to scene 2. Scene 2 is this, a Braille menu. They've got this really tight close-up with a tilt blur on it for their close-up of this. Well, it looks like a tilt blur. That would be the effect in Photoshop or special effects. But this is probably using a proper camera and what we call depth of field. So they've just got a short depth of field, which means they're focusing only on one part and then it blurs everything else out around it. So that term is called depth of field. And what they're doing is they're getting this really nice tight close-up of the Braille menu with lighting so that we can actually see the details of that, which is great. So it starts at 13. It's already, so it's printing them off. And that scene lasts, oh, look, it lasted 1.5 seconds. That's it. It was only there 1.5 seconds. Then we move to it's flattening out. It's being printed down. And they're adding another sheet. So they went from this view up here to this view down here. So that's 2 different views of that scene, right? Remember I was talking about B-roll? You get one image, you're going to describe printing Braille menus. That's what goes in the box. Visual of printing or video of printing menus. And then you just describe it. It's a description in the text beside it. And we've got B-roll. So we've got a view of it here. We've got a view of it here. And that's lasting another 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Now we have fingers reading the scene. So you would move on to scene 3, fingers reading the Braille. And it's a tight close-up here of that as well. So see, we're getting all these different views. We get the menu being printed. We're getting the menu being used. Okay, so we're getting a great visual story here. Okay, and that lasted, we went from 13 seconds to 15. So that was 2.5 to 3 seconds. And then we have fingers reading for another 4 seconds. And now we're going to move on to the next scene. 4 seconds. Yep. So that only lasted 7 seconds in total. That was the printing of the menus, this view, that view. Again, you don't have to put all the different angles and views you're going to do for that scene. You just put printing Braille menus. That's it. That's the scene. What's the approximation? Maybe that approximation you put 5 seconds, right? Reading the menus, another 5 seconds maximum. And then we move on to the next scene. So this is, we did, okay, so here's our sequence so far. Opening text, scene 1, animated text. 7 seconds, because that's how long it took to read it. Next scene, printing Braille menus, because that's what we said we were doing in our text. So let's demonstrate that visually. Printing Braille menus. So 3 to 5 seconds. Fingers reading the Braille menus, 3 to 5 seconds. So you're going to put approximations. So now we've got scene 1, text, scene 2, printed menus, scene 3, reading the menus, and now we're on to scene 4. We're adding more text. So you see how those storyboard little frames are being filled in now, and then describing the text, and then you put approximations of how many seconds each one those are going to be. Okay, so now we've got more text. So we start at 20 seconds. By the time the text is done, it only took 4 seconds for this particular one. We have less text here. If we read it out loud, you can approximate 4 to 5 seconds. This again, what do you write in the scene, in the box? Animated text again, and then write out what the text is going to say. Okay. So our approximation was 4 to 5 seconds for that. And we move on to the next scene. There we go. So they're talking about these going to blind institutions, right? They wanted to alert the blind institutions in their area, and there happen to be 3 of them in this scene. So or 3 total. So this scene, 26 seconds is where we're at. How long is this frame up for? 26 seconds. And we're already on to the next one. It was only up for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Why would a frame be up for only 2 seconds? Did we see it? When you watch the video, we saw it, we read it, we saw it, we read it, we saw it, we read it. Why is it that we were able to see those in the frame? Here's the great thing about images. Our brains process imagery 6,000 times faster than text. So images are a great, useful tool for reducing the amount of time that we need to see something before we absorb it and understand it. Okay, because written text hasn't been part of the human race for that long in the history of the human race, but imagery has. If you go back to cave wall drawings, right, everything was imagery. So that last scene was only up for 2 seconds. So in that frame, so this would be scene 5, right? In that frame, you would write down that you wanted a visual of this particular school. So you're identifying 3 different schools. So in the frame, you write out picture of, describe it in the text, and then put approximation 2 to 3 seconds. Same with the next image, which is only up for 2 seconds. Before we move on to the next image, which is only up for another 2 seconds. So each one of these schools, an image of the school and its sign, 2 seconds each. That's it. That's all we needed to capture the image. And it's like, yeah, okay, we've now identified all 3 schools. Great. And we managed to do that all within 5 seconds. All 3 schools within 5 seconds. So you've got frame 5, the first school, description. Frame 6, second school, description. Frame 7, picture of the school, description. That's it. Approximation 2 to 3 seconds each. All right. So we're now getting our storyboard done here, right? So now we're moving on to frame 8, which is again, animated text. All right. So we're back to animated text. So that is how you break down your scenes. Tell me what's in the scene. You don't have to draw it. You can just write out what it is and then describe it in the text. That's it. That's how we get through this entire thing. All right, this entire video. Now, here's some great storytelling. We're not speaking. We're visually communicating what's happening here. Now, let's talk about style and tone and about what Wimpy's Diner is trying to show here. When you think of Wimpy's Diner, what is your public perception? So if you were going to do a public perception, a public audit of what people think about Wimpy's Diner, what would you think people would say? Oh, well, it's just hamburgers. It's cheap. It's not McDonald's. It's not as cheap as McDonald's. It's just you don't tend to do takeout there. It's a sit down restaurant. But what about the quality of the burgers? What do you think about the quality of the burgers with Wimpy's? And before I saw this ad, I was like, okay, they make it specifically for me. That's their USP. Their unique selling proposition is they make it to order just for you. And you can choose your toppings, and you can kind of like a pizza. Pizzas are made to order just for you. But Wimpy's is one of the only ones in the fast food chain where they make it specifically for your tastes right in front of you. There's no preheated anything. They start from scratch with you. So that being said, how are they going to demonstrate the care that they take into making their products? And this is where I love this sequence with Wimpy's on the visuals that they chose and the storytelling of that through visual communications. So in your descriptions, we're in scene 8. They're making buns, right? We're in the kitchen. And so we see the dough being made. So here's the dough being rolled out. Nice close-ups. See, we don't have the image. We don't have anybody's faces in here. We have these really nice tight close-ups. And so in your scene, you could go close-up making buns, and maybe you can describe several shots that you might want to see with those buns. And the approximation length to tell that part of the story could be like 6 to 8 seconds or even 10 seconds. But don't go too far, because remember, this is visually being communicated. So we pick up visuals much quicker than we pick up text. Then we see the buns being put on the tray. So that's another scene. So buns being loaded to tray. Then our next scene is, oh, look at those nice, look at that really tight, beautiful close-up of the sesame seeds. They look pretty good. Then they look at the braille. What are they going to do with the sesame seeds? Let's look at the sesame seeds. Let's look at the braille. Okay, now we got a nice close-up. What are they going to do with those? So they've created this beautiful story, visual story of the buns being made, the sesame seeds, reminding us that they're doing braille with the sesame seeds. And so their scenes are all set up. Nice close, super duper close up here. And they're now setting up the burger buns with the seeds. So they've created several scenes here, but this is all B-roll, right? They already shot a whole bunch of video of the braille menus being printed. So they took a whole bunch of different angles, because now they can use that and insert it in other places in their story. So that's our B-roll. We've got extra of those scenes that we can now insert to help tell our story. So back and forth with the sesame seeds, back and forth to the bun. And now that they've got it all on there, they're baking them. So great storytelling here visually. The buns are baked. You can see the braille sesame seeds fresh out of the oven. And now fresh ingredients. Remember, we were talking about what's your public perception of Wimpy's. Well, look, they've made these fresh buns. They took a lot of care in making those. They've got these beautiful fresh ingredients, and they've put together this beautiful burger. All right. So that sequence, we're at 1:12. And that whole set of sequence from the bun, if we go all the way back here, 1:12, was from 37 seconds. So we've got over 30 seconds of telling that story with all those different scenes nicely edited together, going back and forth. Seeds, bun, braille, seeds, bun, braille, baking the buns, making the burgers. And now they're ready to hand them out. Okay, so we've got all these beautiful images. Not once have we heard a single word. They visually communicated that beautifully with not a continuous scene of one thing, but lots of little scenes to visually communicate the process. So they created a process visually of the start of that to the finish of that process. All right, and then we go back to story. So there's another storyboard entry, another storyboard entry, and then we've got the emotional appeal, right? Here we go, emotional appeal. So one of these women gets the bun and they tell her to read it. And she goes, what? And so she reads it and then her reaction. So the beautiful part here for the emotion is her reaction. That's a great part of this storytelling, is that emotional, like reactions are great for that emotional appeal that you're going for. And so, yeah, so she's really enjoying the fact that she could read the sesame seeds. Like they really took care and pride in doing that. So now that we've gone through the trifecta of 3 different people getting their burgers. Oh, wait, they have 4. And then more text by doing this, by being able to read it with their hands. Oh, what care they took with Wimpy's Burger. Let's move on. Now, these people shared it with all of those other people. They ended up with 800,000 mentions, and it just snowballed from there. So just excellent, beautiful storytelling. And what was this campaign all about? What was their goal? Their goal was to tell the people in South Africa that they now have blind menus, menus for the blind at all of their locations in South Africa. So it was a very effective campaign. And they did just that. They informed us and they did a great job of it. All right. So I hope you like that ad just as much as I did. So I'm going to stop the share here. All right. So now's the time to ask questions about storyboarding. Does it make sense to you, what I've just described on how to create a storyboard? Okay. So you don't need to draw. There's no drawing involved. You do not need to draw, but by all means, absolutely you can. So there are several ways to produce your storyboard. You can write it out. You can draw it out. You can sketch it out on a piece of paper and take a picture of it. And you can even use that as your entry for your milestone 4. So again, as soon as I get that approved by Catherine this afternoon, it's going in the drop folder and I'll put up an announcement. And I'm holding her to this afternoon to approve that. So you'll have that this afternoon. It is not due until week 11. Okay, it doesn't seem like a long time, but remember it's a PSA. The maximum length you can go for is a minute. You can do as short as 30 seconds. You may discuss, for obvious reasons, in your group, what each of you are going to produce for your 30-second spot, 30-second to 1 minute spot. So each of you in your group, because you have to produce 1 video each within your group, what point are you going to discuss in your PSA? Okay. So you can discuss what part of the of hospice you want to talk about. Discuss it as a group, make your little list, decide who's going to do what, and that's what you focus on for your communications for your video. Okay, does that make sense to everyone?
Does that, sorry, maybe I'm misinterpreting. So are we working as a group to do this project, or are we each doing an individual project ourselves?
Both.
And we have to collaborate with each other to discuss
Yeah.
what we're discussing.
Yes. So you each are responsible for producing your own video because this is an individual grade. But yes, in your group, you get to collaborate and discuss the ideas because as a group, you're still presenting this to the client. So you still need cohesive communications, right? It still needs to all make sense as a group, but you can choose different parts of hospice in which to communicate in your little promos, okay, your little PSAs.
And the storyboard, like milestone 4, is due on Saturday.
No, it'll be due next week. So what I'm on, if you can have it in, because you'll want to start producing it, right? And I need to give you feedback on that. So does Sunday at noon make better sense? Does that work better for everybody? Because you can, I've talked to Catherine about this.
Yep.
You're supposed to be using Thursday in class to discuss this and come up with your ideas. You should all be able to get your storyboards together and done in your Thursday class. Okay.
And then the actual video will be due by the 11th week.
Yes, because if you want some feedback on it, because Catherine is hoping then you present those into your client, and that's week 12, correct?
Yes. So is there a due date for that? I'm just trying to get organized.
Yeah, so that would be due before your presentation. And I like to do that. So your presentation is going to be on the Thursday, correct? The week.
Yeah, it should be.
Yes. Okay. As far as my discussion with Catherine went, I believe that's the case. And so I'm trying to make this realistic too. I don't want you to overcomplicate it. Okay. You have within your group, if you have a group of 4, you have a group of 5, you have as many 30 seconds to a minute videos. And so in order to have those ready for the Thursday, if those 2 could also be ready for Sunday at 5 p.m. again.
So Easter?
Yeah. Yeah. Easter. Is anyone doing anything? I was like, this is the only time that we're like, we're actually not really holidaying or having people over for those holidays. Does that mean, Monday we still have class, by the way. Easter Monday is not a stat holiday, but Friday is. So if you had a class on Friday, you don't have classes on Friday. Good Friday, I mean. Okay, so is everyone able to get that done for, so Sunday by 5? You can hand it in earlier by all means, but Sunday by 5. Then I can give you some feedback. If there's anything that needs to change, then you have a little bit of time. Because my class on Monday, that Monday, is we're working on the magazine. So I can also discuss with any of you that day as well about your video. If there's something that you might want to change before you present it to the client on Thursday. Does that make sense? Is that good? I'm trying to make this as painless as possible by trying to get for time management. Okay, so on Thursday you discuss as a group, you decide who's presenting what in their video, what points you want to present, and then you're all responsible with to produce your own. However, don't forget the logo you can share. The written content you've done as a group, you can pull that out. There's no plagiarism there because this is a group effort in the content that you've created, but the video itself is is an individual assignment where you have to produce it, edit it, get a voiceover in there, and submit it as an MP4. Okay. So that should be your Thursday class, part of your group work assignment. that you're working on those. And then Catherine can also chime in on that, what she's looking for as well. But we did have a pretty long discussion on Friday. So PSA or promo without dates. The thing is, she was just trying to avoid having anything without dates, because you're promoting, or what you're presenting is like an event, right? But there's no dates associated with that. You might have like, oh, it would happen in April. Maybe that's as far as you get, but you won't have any specific dates because nothing can happen in person right now. So she was suggesting a PSA to simplify that even further, so you're not having to worry about dates. Okay. Do you have any other questions about that? And then I'll have a milestone with what's required. It's everything I just said, but in writing. As long as I get the approvals from Catherine this afternoon. All right. So can I get a thumbs up? We're clear. Does anyone have any other questions? All right. Got some thumbs up. Got lots of thumbs up. It's good. If you have any further questions or it's still not perfectly clear, please email me if you have any questions after that. All right. Lots of thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm going to now show you one of my students from 2 years ago, Sharu, or Sharupta for her full name, and what she produced, and what you would have been tasked doing had we been on campus. But she did a great job. At the end of the semester, I usually show the top 5 when we have our get together. So I might pick a top 5. I think Catherine's probably going to choose her favorites out of the grouping as well. All right, so back to sharing my messy desktop here. And let's go back to our class. You have access to this as well. So in the video, I have shared with you Sharu. Here we go. So let's take a look at her sample storyboard. So Sharu was like, I'm not drawing any pictures. And so she went for, or that storyboard with the block where you could write something in and then add text to the side. She went for this style, so she put it in a table. So she's got her voiceover on the left, what she's going to say. She's got a description of the visual in that screen, in that scene, and then the approximate amount of time it's going to take her for each one of those. So you have access to this as well. Yeah.
Sorry, Carol. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
So the template that you have online, we don't have to use that. I can do this.
Yes, you can do a Microsoft Word table.
Okay.
Or an Excel spreadsheet. As long as you have a plan. Okay. Your plan must include what's in the scene, visually describe what's in the scene, what the voiceover text is going to be, if any, or description of, right, the scene, and then the approximation of how many seconds you think that scene needs to be on the screen. Is it
right? I have a vision of how I'm going to lay this out, right? Some of the content that I'm looking to include in this can be problematic right now just because of the lockdown situations like that. So if I'm looking, like, we're doing canoeing the Grandwood Hospice, so obviously I want some nature scenes, maybe a canoe rolling down the river, something of this nature. So you can maybe point me into finding that footage if I can't do that footage myself, or get that type of imagery to convey that type of message, right?
Yes. So what I'm going to ask Catherine to do this afternoon, as well as approve the storyboard outline milestone, is to also ask the client if they have any footage or images that they can share with you to use. As a client, they may or may not have some, right? Plus, when it comes to people in their facility, they have to have permissions to use that imagery for public use. But your PSA, if it's a PSA for outside the organization consumption, then they're going to need permissions for use of people's imagery. And they might have those permissions with stuff that they've already shot. This is where pexels.com will come in handy for your nature shots, for your canoe rolling down the river. You can access those there. There are other free video sources out there, but pexels.com is one of the good ones where you can get some pretty half decent video clips for what you're looking for those generic type shots.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So as for the image of the building and the facility, they should be able to provide you with those this week so that you can include them in your video. So I'm going to make some pretty strong suggestions with Catherine, to the point where even if she would give me contact info so I can gather some of that. But we should be able to get some content from the client themselves. Okay. So I'll see what I can do about that today. But otherwise, you can use generic footage from pexels.com. Okay. So as much as it would be nice if you could produce your own imagery, you just can't. Like, we're in the time of COVID where we can't be going into these facilities. And so as an agency, say we're tasked as an agency, we have to come up with a solution. What's our solution? We're going to have to use stock footage. That's just going to have to be what we do. And so that's how you're going to produce your video. Okay. Or if they can provide us with some imagery, we can use that as well. But you've got their logo. Don't forget their logo. It's already provided for you. It's in the events content folder module here under table of contents. So make sure you also add the branding. And it can be the intro and it can also be the outro. So you introduce hospice. The logo can be at the end as well with contact information. So there's two scenes taken care of already for your videos. So that is events. Somewhere in here is stuff for your events. There it is. Events class files. Okay. So we have the Hospice Waterloo Region logo is in here, and their branding guide on how they use their colors. Okay. Now you've already collected a lot of information again for your infographics. So you're already halfway there when you think about the content that you could produce for your video. So now you've put it in a nice infographic. How can that be? You could always translate your infographic into a video. So you've already got some of that information collected. So you just have to decide as a group who's going to produce what content for your videos. So you don't have too much overlap there. All right. So let's take a look at Sharu. Now that we've taken a look at Sharu's storyboard. Okay. So once again, she wrote it out in a table in a Word document. So there's no little sketches. She didn't need them. She described in the table what she was saying in her voiceover, the description of the visuals, and how many seconds that was going to last. So when we get to the end, her approximation was 194 seconds. So 3 minutes and 23 seconds was her video. Did she end up with 3 minutes and 23 seconds? Nope. She got close, but she was actually under 3 minutes, which would usually be a penalty. But because she was so concise with her information, she did a pretty good job here.
Hi.
Whoops. All right. So can everyone see the video on the screen? I'm now going to show you Sharu's video, and you can read through her storyboard to see how she ended up with what she had. So your storyboard is a plan. Your storyboard is planning. It's your planning document. It's a living, breathing document. Will it be exactly as you wrote it? Probably not by the time you're done. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to hold you to the exactness of your storyboard. It's your planning tool, okay? And then this is what she ended up with. And she went from 3 minutes and 23 seconds approximation to only 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So let's watch Sharu's IMC journey.
Hi, my name is Sharumullah and I'm going to take you through my IMC journey. So let's start from the beginning. What is IMC? Well, Integrated Marketing Communications is a fast-paced, intense graduate certificate program taught at Conestoga College that gets you ready to work in the field of marketing and communications in just 8 months. Now, if you thought that was fast, wait till you get into the program. My journey began in September of 2018, and in the past 8 months, I rose way before the sun did, attended lectures that taught me way more than I ever imagined, planned every day down to the minute, worked on challenging assignments, tried to keep up with deadlines. Then, when all of that was done, I came back home to a mountain of dishes. And not to forget the most tedious tasks of them all, laundry. Sounds stressful, right? Well, it is. But amid stressing over all the little things, I forgot to take a minute to see the bigger picture. In hindsight, I had the pleasure of learning from some of the best professors. I found my passion for design, my love for writing and communicating with a larger audience, a platform to voice my opinions and ideas, the opportunity to build my contacts in the industry, the chance to make some amazing friends, some priceless memories. But most importantly, it gave me the confidence to go out into the real world with my head held high. So the road may have been tough, but the journey was worth it.
All right. So if you go through her storyboard, it was close, but she did end up speaking really quickly, which is why it dropped the timing down a little bit. But so they were tasked, that class was tasked with promoting the IMC program as a student. And I think she did a pretty good job there. And yes, it's fast paced, as you are finding out. Yes, it's a lot of work. But we just didn't have the opportunity here to create our IMC experience like they were able to because that one was in person. So this is why we're switching this over so you can create videos for your client in your events marketing class. It'll give you all the same great experience of creating the video, but now you've got this live client that you can help with their promotional and PSA materials. All right, so do you have any questions about the storyboard and how to produce that? Okay, so it's quiet, it's calm, the calm before the storm, maybe. But what we're going to do next is we're going to take a look at the magazine project. So before we move on from the video is, again, for your hospice client. You can work on it together in your class on Thursday. Decide what you're going to do. That's a perfect opportunity for each one to work on your storyboards within your group. And then you have no problem being able to hand that in, get some feedback, and then start working on your video. And you can always start working on your video before that. And I'm hoping to gather materials from hospice themselves. If I can get that, and I'm pretty sure we can get some, I will put that in that events content module in my program. Okay. So you'll have access to some of that as well. But by all means, grab generic content. So Shane, you were talking about walking through a forest, canoe going down a river. You don't need to go shoot that. You can use footage that's already been created by another source, because that's pretty much the options we have right now. If you'd like to produce your own, that's great. You could even, well, see, and this is if she's not giving you access to contacts, we could do some interviews, right? So we'll see what's available. They might even have video produced already. Has anyone looked for videos that they produced in their research for their facility? Anyone? Okay. So I'm going to see what they might have already produced. We might be able to snag some of their own video from those videos, especially if they've already been made public. And to be honest, I'm on a Mac and I can capture my screen as video. You probably have a way to do that on your PC as well. Can you record video on your screen? As in, if you turn on YouTube, do you have a way to record the YouTube video on your screen? So if you're on a Macintosh computer, you do Command Shift 5, and that allows you to record your screen. So that's how sometimes I capture video clips. I get permission first from the person who created it, but they don't send me the video. I just like screen capture their video playing on my screen. And because you can capture the exact piece that you want. So I've done that before. Do screen captures of pictures on their website, right click and save pictures from their website. If that's all public domain, you probably will have permission to use that. So you can right click on photography that they've provided on their own website. Even graphics. Think about sharing in graphics that they created or charts, depending on what your PSA is going to be talking about. So it could be talking about donations or trying to reach a particular donation goal. There's lots of different things in your PSA that you might be able to talk about. And then what the call to action is that. What is the goal of your PSA? What do you want people to do once they've watched that? So consider all of those things that you could provide as your communications in your PSAs. All right. Any other questions? All right. So just keep branding in mind. Don't forget color theory, typography. You want to pick a font that goes well with that. Again, don't get too complicated. Don't get too cluttered. The KISS principle, keep it simple, students. Always a good policy for clean design. Plus, you don't need to collect a whole bunch of things. We don't want to see clutter. We just want a very clean design. Remember who the client is and what their focus is. When we think of end of life, we think of just white, look, the what we call the light at the end of the tunnel isn't just for trying to get work done. Look, everyone, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We also, because we've accomplished something, there's also walking into the light as well at end of life. So we want to keep that light natured. And so white is likely going to be one of the colors that you want to use for your video, as in background color, just to keep it light and more positive for what they're focusing on as their message to you. So we don't want it dark and dreary and sad. We want positive message for something that a lot of people have a difficult time dealing with. All right. My mom was president of the Guelph chapter hospice for many years here. So I'm quite aware of how the messaging needs to be in the sense that like you can use images like doves or just things that are light natured. So Shane, you have a good imagery of just the forest through like the trees and nature and just the lighter side of life, those very basic things that we often take for granted. That's just a good visual. Those are good visuals to use. All right, so let's move on, but let's take a break first. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. When we come back, we're going to review what we're doing for our magazine project. Our magazine project, I provided you with almost all of the text. So we're going to need our magazine open in InDesign, and we're going to download. We're going to keep downloading some text, and we're just going to place till our magazine is full of text. The next step, once we've placed all the text, is to then stylize the text. So stylizing our headlines. We've already created style sheets. I'll do a little review of our style sheets, our headlines, our subheads, and our text, stylize it, and then it's a matter of adding visual content in between. Okay. So this is your showcase piece. This is your portfolio, your magazine. Okay. And there's a full list in there. I've updated it and I've provided pretty much all the text. So it might seem like a lot of content, but your task is to place it, stylize it, place it, stylize it. And then we'll add a few images in between there, like the stuff that you've produced, your movie poster, your fashion ad is already in there. So we've got some really nice pieces that you've already produced to put in there. And then I've got suggestions of other things that you can put in there as well as additions, because some of you created more than one movie poster. I think you had a little bit of fun with it, which was great. And so you can always add more. So you've got your bare minimum and you can always add more pieces. So we'll discuss what goes in the magazine project with the list that I have when we come back from break. All right, so I will see you at 10:55 and we'll continue in InDesign with your magazine project. Okay, any questions before we go for break? All right, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And I'm going to share my screen. And what you're going to see is, this is in your final project, your magazine project module, where I've got all the files listed, which we've already started adding. And I've just updated this based on the content and what we're going to be able to achieve over the next few weeks. And so this is what we have here. So you all have access to this. I've updated it slightly based on the content, and we're going to be able to manage all of this. Don't you worry, because we're going to do as much in class on this as possible. So we've already completed our magazine cover in the list. So that's already done. Our sports fashion ad we placed as well, and we already added a headline for our table of contents. So if I share my whole screen, I'll just share my whole screen so I can go back and forth to my InDesign. So we've got our magazine cover, sports fashion ad, and our table of contents already placed. So we've got our magazine cover. Make sure your magazine cover has the placement text. Read your comments to see where you might want to make changes, because at the end of on week 12, on that Monday, we're just going to update all of that content. If we've made some necessary changes to our files, we're going to use the links palette right here. My links palette is somewhere in here. If you do not have it there, you can find all of your palettes. I just have to move my Zoom stuff out of the way. You can find all of your palettes under the window menu. So your links palette, this guy right here, is going to show you all of your content. It even tells you what page you've put it on. So you can literally use your links palette to scroll through all of your pages where you have placed images, which is a pretty nice tool to have. And this is where you can right click and update by relinking to your most recent file. Now, if you've replaced your JPEG with the exact same name, the same file name, and it says, do you want to replace this? And you said, yeah, I want to replace it. You don't have to relink. It will either automatically update or you'll get a little, it's a little warning sign that shows the status, and your status is changed. And if you hover over it, that little status that shows up there, it'll say, do you want, it's been modified, do you want to update it? Of course you do. You click on it and it updates with your most recent file on in its place. So that's how you use the links palette, but don't worry about that right now, because we have time to read our comments, figure out what we need to do to correct that. Again, like I said at the beginning of class, if you need some one-on-one like we would have had in the lab, please email me. We'll set up some time and I can go through those files with you if you need some help with those improvements. Okay. So now that we've got our cover done, we've placed our fashion ad, and we added a headline for the table of contents here. All right. Now, I think I used this with my other class. Nope, here we go. So other things that we have done in this since last time we met, which seems like a long time ago now. It's been 2 full weeks. What we have here is we have placed our text, what is graphic design? And where can you find all of these files? You can find them all. Whoops. You can find them all. If I go to the right spot, you can find them all in the contents. And if I scroll down here, all of the files that I've provided for you are down here in the final magazine module, and everything we've got is right here. So I've even got an example of a finished magazine. Now your content's going to be a bit different because it changes each semester based on collaborations we've had with other classes and that kind of thing. But if you want to take a look at that for content to see, just to get a basic idea of what the content looks like when it's properly stylized all the way through. Luciana allowed me to share hers. She too is from Sharutka's class, and she did a pretty good job here. I think she had 96%. She just had a few just tiny little things, but other than that, she did a great job. And she even, we created a barcode on the front. I can show you how to do that in week 12. But if you want to incorporate the new program logo, it's right here. And we also have the Conestoga logos. Just so you know, Catherine has asked that you have the program logo and the Conestoga logo included in your report and your PowerPoint presentation for your event marketing class. So we can, I can do a quick little review of PowerPoints and how you're going to add that to your PowerPoint before you get it completely filled in for that class. But that will have to be, I can do a little video and post that for you this afternoon when I'm waiting for Catherine's approval on the milestone, and I'll provide all of that for you. But there is the new logo, the PRIC logo is available to you. It is an EPS file, so it's for print. You can always open that EPS file in Photoshop and save it as a PNG file with a transparent background. Or I can do some of that for you and put it in the events folder. So let me see how much I can do for you so you don't have to. How about that? That probably sounds okay to you. And I'll do that with the Conestoga logo as well. So we have 2 of those. These are for print. They're EPS files, encapsulated postscript. So they preserve their vector line art filled with color properties. But if we want a great preview in our PowerPoint, we need PNG files, which allow for 100% transparency and a variation of transparency. So we'll get those files prepared for you, and I'll put those PNG files for your PowerPoints in your events, in the events files module for you. All right, so just ignore the fact that I told you what you can do to create those. I'll create those for you, and I will put them in the events class files, okay? So that you have access to that now that Catherine has asked for that branding also to be included in your hospice client presentation and report, okay? But for your report, you'll also want the EPS files. Those will be your print documents, your print file documents. And the PNGs will be for your PowerPoint, for your digital space. All right, and then you can use the PNGs in your videos as well. So I'll make sure I prepare all of those for you. All right, so let's move on to content for our magazine. All of the magazine Word docs have been listed here. Oops, important of video goes further down. That's what we just covered today. It's gonna go all the way down here, probably after events, and maybe even after infographics. We can always play with that. So I have provided you with all of the text, all of it. So you could, in essence, go to the top and download this entire magazine project Word file and images document. You can download that whole thing into a folder on your desktop. So you have them all. So what we need to place yet today is IMC Creative Strategies Planning. So I'm going to put that in my magazine folder. There we go. And we've already placed what is graphic design, and we've already placed contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity.
Carolyn?
Yeah.
When did we place those?
We haven't.
I don't have any of that.
You don't have any of them?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
You didn't do it either?
Mm-mm.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
when I did it,
Sorry?
when I did it, I couldn't find this Word document. What is graphic design or any of that? So I don't remember placing it.
All right. Well, it was okay. So, well, let's do it now. And the beauty of this is takes very little time to do this. This is another reason why I love using InDesign. So what we'll place today then, let's place IMC Creative Strategies, what is graphic design, and we're going to do this in order: contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, typography rules. Okay, this typography review PDF and color theory. So let's start placing some stuff. We'll get all the way down to, we might not get color theory placed in the next hour, but we might. So we're going to get down to that list. Believe it or not, once we get down to color theory and text images, we're almost half completed the content of our magazine. Half. Okay. So again, we will place IMC creative strategies. What is graphic design? Contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity. I might have already downloaded that. Please put them all in one handy folder so they're easy to find. Typography rules. So you can probably download all at once. My prof allows me to only do one at a time. All right, right all the way down to color theory images. Now it's a zip file. So can you access content in a zip? No, you cannot. You need to extract the files from the zip in order to access the content. Okay. So you might have downloaded the zip, and then when you go to file place, it's not going to recognize your zip file. It can't grab anything from it. Why not? Because it's still compressed in a zip folder. So you must extract the files. So on a Mac, you can double click it and it'll expand the file into a folder. On a PC, you might have to right click and expand depending on how you handle your zips. Okay, so we need all of those. All right, now that we have those, we're gonna just follow this list on placing our content. So we have already placed magazine cover, sports fashion ad, and a title for our table of contents. So now we're literally going to start placing content. Now I thought we had created did we create a library in this class and we dragged and dropped into our library, correct?
Yeah, we did that. That's a great tool.
Okay. Yeah, it's awesome. This is like one of the best things of InDesign is having a library. If you do not have your library open, which you won't, the library is a separate file from your InDesign document. So it needs to be opened as a separate file. So when you open it, file open, your library will be an INDL file. INDL. So I just have to find another magazine project, I think. And if I look for library, because I always put the word library in my library file, so they look like this, INDL. That's what it'll look like. And you open that as a separate file. You can use that library for any document, new document, old document. You can reuse your library, drag and drop elements. And so this one I've called library dump, where I just literally can just throw any elements I want in there from any document that I'm working on. All right, so this particular library, we created a sticky note. All right, and so I guess we're starting from scratch here. Oh, this must be from my other class, that's why. Oh, I opened the wrong document. I don't know what happened. That's my SMC class. That's not the one. This is what happens when you teach kind of almost the same in more than one class. You guys are in the 1-year accelerated program. The SMC are in a 2-year. All right, so here's my magazine. Which one is it? Good question. All right, I'm gonna empty all my pages is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go to my page palette. Again, if you're looking for any of your palettes, they are living under your page menu. Oh, look at that, I filled in a lot. So I'm going to clear all of these. I just deleted all of my pages. I only have 3. All right, in order to add pages in your page palette, every single palette has an option tab in the upper right-hand corner. No matter what palette I click on, except for properties, all of these palettes have this little option tab in the upper right-hand corner. So if you're ever looking for any options for that particular palette, we have options in the upper right-hand corner of those palettes, okay? So in my pages palette, I need to add some more pages. Insert pages. Now, everyone here has 20 pages, correct? We're going to need more. So for today's exercise, to add more pages, let's add 10 more pages to our document. So currently, I need 17 more after this page. There we go. So now I have the same as you, but we're going to need more pages after page 20. And by the time we're done, we're going to have close to 50 pages, if not a few more. So are we going to be able to complete this in the next 4 weeks? Oh yeah, not a problem. Why? Because I've provided almost all of the text for you. Now it's just a matter of making it, as one of my editors used to say, making it look pretty, as in branding, right? So we need our headlines, our colors, and using our style sheets in order to set that up. So we have continuity with repetition. We're using the repetition principle to repeat colors from our cover for branding purposes. We're using typography. We've chosen our fonts.
Carolyn.
Yes.
It's been a while since we added pages onto. Can you go back over that?
Yep.
You just did it really quickly.
Yep. Okay. So you have your page palette open. Okay, so once your page palette is open, it's the upper right hand corner is the little option tab and insert pages. Now, that's not the only place you can insert pages. You can also right click on a page anywhere in your page palette and insert pages there. You can also go under the layout menu to pages and you can insert pages there. I mean, Adobe is one of those.
And how many pages are we supposed to be inserting?
So you have currently 20, yes?
Yes.
You're going to insert 10. So sorry, I was inserting 17 because I deleted all my content. Now on page 20, I have the option of inserting pages here, or I could right click on page 20 and I could insert pages here. Now, the one thing I want you to pay attention to, and I'm adding 10, just like you, I'm going to add 10 more pages to my 20. It says insert after page. You can insert your pages anywhere in between. So maybe you don't have enough room for a particular page of text. So you need another page. You need to add a page. You can add your page anywhere within your list of pages. Okay. But what I want you to pay attention to is this, the master. What are your pages going to be based on? We still want page numbers, correct, in our pages. So if we selected none, a none page has no master page elements on it. And on our master page, we put automatic page numbers. We put a title and page numbers. So we want to base our next 10 pages off of our A master. So that means our master elements are going to be on those pages as well. And then you simply click OK. So now your page palette should have 30 pages. Okay, was everyone successful with that? If you were not, please let me know and I can quickly review. All right. So using our page palette, on page 2, we have a table of contents. I'm going to delete that table of contents and just do a quick review on how you add your text. Now, in our library, we actually put a headline in here. So that allows us to drag and drop from our library one of our page elements. But how did we create that library item? Well, first we used our text tool. So I've got my type tool. I'm going to click and drag a box. Don't forget to pay close attention to your margins. Pay attention to your margins. I'm going to click inside this entire width of the margin. So I have right and left alignment, and I'm aligned to the top of that margin. And I'm going to type in table of contents. Now in my properties or my paragraph palette here, I have my style sheets. If you do not have your style sheets selected here, where do you find those? Again, it's this time it's not under your window menu. Well, it could be under type and tables, paragraph. We want paragraph style sheets. So that's under the type menu, paragraph styles. So what paragraph styles is versus paragraphs, paragraph up here, well, that's alignment, indents, that kind of thing for setting up your text. Paragraph styles is for what your text is going to look like based on color, font, size, etc. And so we're going to use our paragraph styles to set up our text. So I've just turned that off. If you're on a PC, it's F11. Your F11 key turns your paragraph styles on and off. So please don't confuse it with this paragraph. Please use paragraph styles for your style sheets. And what we did is we created a style sheet for each type of body element that we want. So we have a headline paragraph that we created. We have body copy that we created, and we have subhead. Now, where are these other styles in here? Your paragraph style sheets might be populated by text that you place from an external source. So your external source for your files today, they're mine, right? I created them in Word, and there might be some formatting in there, which includes fonts and some style sheets. So that's where those extra ones you might see some paragraph styles that you didn't create, and that's okay. Like I have this paragraph style. Where did it come from? I don't know. Is it one I want to use? Nope. So at the bottom right of my paragraph style box, I'm just going to delete that one. Throw it in the trash. There we go. So if you have extra ones you don't want, you can get rid of them. So if I have headline clicked, you can see that's what it's going to type.
Carolyn?
Yes?
I must have missed all of this. Where can I find this to go back and do? I don't have any of this paragraph styles done.
Okay, so I'll do a review. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, so when we click and drag a box, it's listed as basic paragraph. So do you see that? You see basic paragraph in your paragraph style box, right? Do you see it? So again, paragraph styles are under your window menu. Sorry, no, they're not. They're under your type menu.
Yep.
Okay, so you only have basic paragraph, right?
That's right.
Okay, so let's set up your very first headline. You ready? So what we have to do is decide what it's going to look like. So I'm going to type in headline X. I could type in table of contents. This is my table of contents page. But for this particular exercise, if you want to just throw this and you don't know what the name, your title is yet, then I'm just going to name it what it is, type in what it is. It's a headline, and add the letter X so that when I do a spell check, edit spelling, so we'll do that definitely at the end, I can check the spelling and it'll find everything that's misspelled with the letter X in it. And then I won't forget to replace that text. So now that I've typed in headline X, I have to make it look like what I want it to look like. So I'm going to take a look at my cover, and in the interest of repetition, the repetition principle, I'm going to repeat the headline font. I have used this one called Lemon Milk. That's the title font that I have here. And I'm going to repeat that title right here, that font. And so now that I've typed in my text, I now need to start set up what it's going to look like. So in my properties palette, again, if you don't see it, it's under your window menu. And I'm going to find lemon milk in my list. As you can see, it's one I use a lot, lemon milk. And I want it to be the bold font. So I'm going to make it bold. And then I'm going to make it as big as I'd like. And then keep scrolling down here. I'm going to center that on my page. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I'm going to click away. Okay, it's black. I don't want a black headline. So I'm going to double click that to select it. And because we've already sampled our colors from our cover, I've already got a folder in my swatches under fill with a little folder that I sampled from my cover, and I'm going to make it teal from my cover. So I'm repeating a color element from my cover. There we go. And that's what it's going to look like. Just to review, how do you sample color from anything? You use the color theme tool and you click anywhere on your image, and you can do this with any photo, which is great for sampling colors from logos. And now that I have clicked on that, you will get this cool menu of colors here. And if I hover over this, so you can see it's got the teal, the light teal, and the dark teal of my background. It's got the gold of my lettering and the shadow, the tint, or sorry, the shade of that color. And then it's even got my skin tone, which is kind of weird, but there it is. If I click on this tiny little arrow, it's saying, well, this is a colorful theme. You can move to a bright theme, which then has white. And you can choose any one of those color themes here. Okay, so I'm going to stick with colorful. And this little button here says, add this theme to the swatches. Okay, so you click on that. And then when you go back to highlight your text, in your swatch palette at the bottom here, there's my colorful theme. So there's the colors that I sampled from my cover. So that's for contrast in text for my headline. And it's also a repetition of the typeface and the color that I chose for my cover. So I've now got some continuity going on here. All right. Now I need to create a style sheet. So in my paragraph styles, you can see that my basic paragraph has been changed. And that's indicated by this little plus sign beside the word basic paragraph. That little plus sign is saying, hey man, you've made some modifications. I could reset it by holding Alt, and I click on that and it resets it back to the default. It gets rid of the plus sign, but I obviously don't want to do that. I want to turn this highlighted text into a new paragraph style. So I'm going to move my mouse over to the right, click on the new paragraph style button in the list, in the options in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to click new paragraph style. Click. What am I going to name it? It's my headline. And that's it. Why don't I need to check anything else? All of these, this list, oh, it's already taken, sorry. All right, headline new or headline bold. There, I'll call it headline bold. We don't need to change anything else. All of these settings to the left here, this entire list is based off of the text you've highlighted on your page. That's the cool thing about this. It's so easy to create style sheets. So the only thing you need to do, once you've set up the text the way you want it to look, highlight it, go into the upper right-hand corner options tab, choose new paragraph style. The only thing you need to do is name it. That's it. Click OK in the up bottom right corner. I'm ignoring CC libraries. Goodbye. And now I have headline bold. Now, my text is highlighted, but it still says it's a modified paragraph style sheet. So I better make sure I choose headline bold as well to make sure it works. So there's body copy, basic paragraph, headline bold. There we go. We have now created a new style sheet. So when you want to create new style sheets, you click and drag a box. You type in what you want. So the next one I can do is subhead. It's based off of the last paragraph style I had selected. And now I want a subhead. So I'm going to change the font, the style, and the color. So this time I'm going to choose my gold for my subheads. I'm going to change from bold to regular, and I'm also going to make it much smaller. There's a subhead. Your headlines should be the biggest component on your page because that's your navigational tool to say, hey, I'm a title. Then your subheads are basically subtitles for sections underneath your title. So it's going to be smaller. All right, now that I've created this subhead, I might even go a bit smaller than that because it's going to go over 12-point type. So there's my subhead. Do I want it align center? No, because all my text, my subheads are going to go over my body of text. By the way, you can change your settings at any time in your paragraph style sheet. So let me leave that centered anyway, just so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so I've now got the subhead the way I want it to look. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to go into my paragraph styles and I'm going to create and see how it's headline bold plus sign. I've modified it. So now I'm going to create a new paragraph style and name it subhead. Click OK. That's all I need to do. Let's test it. I'm going to click on my headline and choose subhead new. There we go. That's how quick and easy it is to create paragraph styles. So if you don't have one for your body copy yet, click and drag a box, body, copy, X. Okay, I should probably put an X in there too. There we go. Here's my body copy. What do I want it to look like? I want it to be, so have you chosen your font? If you haven't yet, don't worry, but I'm going to choose, let's see. I like Times New Roman. So I'm going to start typing that in. I'm going to use a serif font to go as a complement, opposites attract, to my sans serif font. The maximum or the small or the biggest I would make this would be 12 points. That's like Word documents using Cambria at 12 points. Now, whoops. Let's do Times. I guess I didn't actually choose it. Times New Roman regular. There we go. I'm going to make sure it's black. Okay. And my body copy is going to be aligned left. There we go. I've now set up my body copy. That's the way I want it to look. So I'm going to highlight my body copy text. There we go. Go into my paragraph style sheets and once again click on that option tab, new paragraph style. And what is this? Body copy. Body copy. That's it. So let's test it. Always test them. So you can go back to basic paragraph. Here's my headline. Here's my subhead. And here's my body copy. Look how nice and quick that is to produce. So now that you've got all of these boxes, what's your best bet here? I'm going to delete this item in my library. Click on the tool there. I'm going to take this headline box and I'm going to drag and drop it into my library. I now can drag and drop that from my library on any page and just type in what I want it to say. Library item, drag and drop. Subhead, I'm going to drag and drop my subhead into my library. Okay, I should probably double click on the word untitled. So this is my headline. Better label them properly. So the thumbnails might be too small to see what they are. My subhead, and then I'm going to do body copy. Drag and drop it in your library and body copy. All right. Do I need any of these on here? I can get rid of them. And I can start fresh with a new headline on my page. There we go. So page 3 is table of contents. Oh no, it's too big. What am I going to do about that? Well, I've already put it in my library. Is that going to be a problem? Nope. Again, the power of InDesign is if you make modifications to your paragraph style sheets, it doesn't matter what's in your library. When you drag and drop, it will take on the properties of that document's style sheet. So what does that look like? Well, there's my headline. Oh, it should be my headline bold. Let's see. Oh, it was my headline bold. There we go. So what I have to do is make my title smaller. It doesn't fit in the box. And I might have some other longer headlines too. So how am I going to change that? I'm going to double click headline bold. And my preview in the bottom left-hand corner is on. So I'm going to take a look at my basic character formats. And I'm just going to make it smaller. Until it fits. There we go. Table of contents. It's 48 points. Great. And I'm going to click OK. So I do know that my library item, oh, how about changing the color as well? I have to make this obvious, right? So let's also change the color in the list on the left. So basic character formats, there's the font, the size. I've changed the size. What if I decide to change the color as well? There we go. And I click OK. See how it changed? Oh, look, it even changed the other one I had on my page, right? Because it's a style sheet. The style sheet is like the one place you go in, you make your changes, and wherever you've placed that, it's changed, including my library item. My library item in that box is teal. It's the green color, and it's 60 points. But because whatever style sheet I've got on my document, which we've just changed, whatever my library item has for its subhead, it will update based on the document's style sheet. So I'm going to drag and drop that on. It should be teal 60 points, right? Nope, it took on the properties of that file. So just to prove what that looks like, I'll create a new document with a single page. I'm going to drag and drop this headline on. Oh, look, it's teal 60 points. And it created a style sheet for me that wasn't there because it's populating my paragraph styles in my new document. But I'll drag and drop that same one back on in this document. It takes on the properties of the document settings, not the settings within the element in your library. So that's pretty cool. That allows you to use that library over and over and over again, even if you change the font. It's like, what, really? Even if I change the font? Sure, Carolyn. Are you sure about that? Yes, I am. So here's an ugly font, marker felt. Okay, let's drag that headline back on here again. Oh, look, it took on the properties of the document. Okay, so it will take on the properties of the document you are dragging and dropping that element to. The beauty of libraries. So you need one library with a headline, a subhead, and body copy. Modify it in your paragraph styles for that document. Then go ahead, drag and drop away. Okay, beautiful, right? Yes. So I'm going to reset this back to what I had. Lemon milk bold 48 points. Change it back to teal. There we go. And everything else I do changes accordingly where I've applied it. All right. So how did we do with that? How did we do? Are we good? All right. I can't find my window where I can see all of you guys. I might have covered you up. You've disappeared. There you are. All right. So is everyone clear on style sheets and libraries now? Can I get a thumbs up? All right. Some. I got some. How about, so Terry Lynn, did that work for you? You got that all settled?
I will rewatch the video later. I got, yeah, it's okay though.
Okay,
I'll watch it later.
So you get the gist of it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And it'll be really easy to set up. So the next thing we're going to do, page 3 is table of contents. So let's move over to page 4. Page 4 is simply going to be a placement. We don't have the picture for this yet. If I take a look at the list I've provided you, oops, not that one. Somewhere there's a list here. There it is. So we've done our cover, our fashion ad. We now have a table of contents. We have no text for our table of contents yet because we don't have a finished magazine. The table of contents is just like an executive summary. You do it last. First, you have to fill your magazine before you know what's in your table of contents. So now we need to place the IMC Creative Strategies planning document that you downloaded from the documents I provided. The left-hand page is a sourced image. Okay, that fills the left-hand page. So we need to, pexels.com is going to be your best place. We're going to source an image, but not right now. First, we're going to place all our text, but we do want to say, hey, on page 4 of our Word document, or sorry, our InDesign document, we need to say, hey, I need to place something there. So you could click and drag a box and type in picture, whoops, goes here, XXX, and then you'll refer to the list. And I like to make these a very garish color. So with my selection tool in my properties palette, I'm going to make this as ugly a fill color as I can. There we go. So now it's garish, right? I'm not using this yellow color anywhere. And I'm going to click and drag and drop that element into my library like a sticky note. There we go. So this is a sticky reminder note. Name it whatever you like. Then any other place I need one of those, I can drag and drop on. So I had another sticky note in here. Need a pick, but it says for creative strategies. So usually when I create stuff for my library, I try to make a generic note, need pick, XXX. So I could just use that sticky note, drag and drop onto my page in my library and just name it sticky note. And then it can be used for anything. And it's really easy to get rid of elements in your library. You just click on it and hit the trash can in the bottom right corner. And you can eliminate stuff in your library as well. So I need a picture on page 4 based on my list here. So my list says source image to visually represent creative strategies. Okay. So I can highlight this text right from my Word document, copy it, and I'll just paste it into my sticky note so I know exactly what I need here. There we go. It doesn't have to look pretty. It's a sticky note. And it will be found on spell check because of all the X's in there. All right, that's it. There's your sticky note. So for every place on the Word doc that lists out what you need, source image to visually represent graphic design. Okay, I can grab that text, copy it. Now, first I have to place IMC planning Word doc. I don't know where my sticky note goes yet. So let's do that next. So page 1, magazine cover. Page 2, fashion ad. Page 3, table of contents. Currently we have a header up there and that's all we have. Page 4, a sticky note reminding us that we need to source an image to visually represent creative strategies and media tools on the left page. Great. On the right page, we now need to place IMC creative strategies. I've provided you with the Word doc. I'm going to click with my black arrow anywhere inside this page. Now, if you don't have a headline on there, drag and drop one from your library. Ta-da! And underneath that, click anywhere to deselect the box. Just click anywhere in the empty space. File, place. We never copy and paste our Word docs. We want to file place our Word docs. And we're going to look for that Word doc, which was IMC Creative Strategies Planning. We just hit open. And what happens with that document? Oh, look, it's saying, hey, man, you don't have those fonts. Don't worry about it. I'm going to skip it. Why am I not worried about not having the fonts? Well, I want to stylize it with my font choices. So I'm just going to click anywhere inside this window. Click. And it's placed my text. And look how handy it is. When I clicked, it filled to the margins. Nice. Now, one issue that we're going to run into with longer documents is it's going to run into the text and overlap our page number at the bottom. That's not good, right? So I need to click on that anchor point at the bottom till I get the double-ended arrow. I'm going to click and drag up. There we go. And I'm no longer overlapping my font. Now, see this IMC Creative Strategies Planning? That's my headline. So now that I've placed the text, now I can copy and paste into different spots. So I'm going to copy this, which is supposed to be my headline. I'm going to copy that. And I can paste it into my headline above. Or what else could we do? Get rid of the headline. Click on the text box. Make it right up to the top to your margin. There we go. Highlight the text with your text tool. And what do? Choose your paragraph style sheet. There it is. It's as simple as that. As you can see, I have a lot of pink text here. That pink block says, Carolyn, you do not have the font. I warned you when you place the document, and now I'm warning you visually with these pink blocks. So what am I going to do? I'm going to select all, Control A, all of my text. And I'm just going to choose body copy. Because I can always go back to my headline and just by a simple click in my paragraph style sheets, reset the text. Now, these hyphens look terrible. Look at that hyphen. Bad, bad, bad. Going to click in front of planning and just enter or return to put that on the next line. Now, there are some things that happened here, though. my Word doc overrode my properties here, my body copy. That's not body copy. Why isn't it body copy? I clicked on it. Well, see that modified, that plus sign? It's going, you know what? The Word doc is overriding your formatting. Well, that's just rude. I don't want it there because I want to set it to my styles. So once again, I'm going to select all, click body copy, but in order to set that to my style, Alt or on a Mac Option, click on your body copy style sheet. It'll get rid of the plus sign, and now your settings are to your specifications. Okay, so that's using the Alt key to get rid of that plus sign. And then I'll just start clicking on things. Whoops, I had an return there. And now I can start setting up my styles here. Ooh, see how that looks centered, but everything else is aligned left? Proximity, it's too far away from my text, and I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to make a change to my subhead new. In order to modify your paragraph styles, you double click them in the paragraph style sheet. And I'm going to go to indents and spacing is where you find the alignment for your paragraph. And I'm going to align left. Click OK. There we go. Now they're all aligned left. And as I go, I can start setting up my text. Okay. Now, Houston, we have a problem. I have a red plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. What does that mean? I have overset text. I don't have enough space in this box to preview all of the text that was provided. So I need to zoom in on that nice little red plus sign, and with my black arrow, and notice right now, the only tools we've been using, black arrow text tool. That's it. Black arrow text tool. So I'm going to click on my black arrow. I'm going to click on that red plus sign. Now, if you click on it and it doesn't turn into a blue arrow with the text attached to it, just click on it again one more time, because it might, your text box might not have been selected. Once you click on that red plus sign, your red plus sign turns into a blue arrow saying, hey, you're turning this copy attached to your mouse to another page. Perfect. So page 5 is going to continue. If I scroll over to page 6, I'm going to click at the top of this pink line, my margin. I'm just going to click. And the nice thing about InDesign is, what does it do? It's so helpful with alignment that it has filled, the text box fills right to your margins. How nice is that? Then with my text tool, click on any of these little headings and set up my subheads. And that's how easy it is to place text and stylize it with your created subheads. Once you create them once, ooh, we got some weird stuff going on here that we might have to edit. Oh, we have some tabs, so I'll have to remove those. When you get stuff from externally, so that had a huge indent, but it was used with a tab, you might have to do some further editing. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of these tabs because I want consistency, repetition of those tabs and space between each one of my headers here. So I'm just doing some editing so that it looks all the same. There we go. Oh, should this have bullet points? Yeah. So now I'm editing the content now that I've added the stylized. So in order to be consistent, these all have bullet points, each point. Somehow this one's missing all the bullet points. In your properties palette, if you scroll down to the bottom, see it says bullets and numbering with options. So there's my standard bullet points. There we go. But see the indent? It's not the same as these guys. So how do I override that? How do I fix that? You can, just like you can in Word, when you set up your bullet points, you have options down here as well. And so my left indent, I'm just going to put 0 and click OK. Did it work? Oh, my indent value. Oh, sorry. I probably have to have something. Let's see what one point looks like. Probably huge. Invalid indent value. Indents cannot extend outside of the text frame. All right, so I'll just have to figure out what that is. 0, 0. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have to play around with my bullets. Okay. The cool thing about bullets too is once you've created them, you can turn your bullets into a style sheet as well, believe it or not. So anything you highlight can turn into a style sheet. All right, and that's how you set up your text. All right. So then we keep taking a look. What's next on our list? Okay, sourced. Okay, so left page, right page. The thing is the Word document is longer and we want to fill a left page. So what are we going to do with this right page? We'll leave it alone right now. So we'll just go to page 8, drag and drop a sticky note. Whoa, where did it go? Oh, it landed on the page above. Probably because I should use my pages palette to grab my page. Oops. I'm clicking on random things. So in my page palette, I can't even see it. I have so much stuff going on here. Okay. So I'm going to double click page 8. And I'm going to drag and drop a sticky note. And this is for graphic design. Doesn't matter if you spell check, is not a big deal here because you're going to get rid of your sticky notes. Then on page 9, I'm just going to click so I don't have anything else selected. And I'm going to continue placing text. File, place, and now I'm going to place the graphic design text. Did I download it? Nope. There it is. Put that in my folder. And now I can access it. File, place, never copy, paste, and continue placing your documents. What is graphic design? Gonna skip the font thing. Why? Because with my text tool, click inside the text, paragraph style sheet, click on headline. There we go. This is body copy, and this is body copy. Notice I didn't even have to highlight the text. It changes the entire body of text from the beginning of the paragraph to the end, hence the name paragraph style sheet. So it'll change no matter where you click in here. It'll change the entire body of text. See that? Until it hits a return. Okay, so that's the beauty of this as well. It's a single click. So that's already set up. Then according to the form, the Word doc. Now that we've placed what is graphic design, great. Now we need a title page for the CRAP principles. Okay, great. What is our title page gonna look like? Before the break, we created a title page for this page, but you can simply drag a headline onto your page. And this is going to be our graphic design title page. Oh, wait, it's our crop principles page. And you can make it look like a title page. So we'll play with that next time. But then on page 12, all your left-hand pages, according to the doc, contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity is on the left page. Your milestone 6, which is actually your milestone 5, I've removed a milestone, is going to be your images for that. So page 12, file place, contrast. Skip the issue that I'm missing the font because text tool, click inside contrast, paragraph, headline, the rest, or I can do a select all and do body copy and then set up my other stuff. My subheads. There we go. And it's a simple click. So that's what you will do. You just follow the list and place all of your text. So we will continue working on this next week as well. Okay, any questions? A lot of you have already left. Any other questions for those who have remained behind? Okay, so you can place according to the list, just keep placing all the text if you want and setting up your style sheets. And just keep going until all of your text is placed based on the, like if you have time. I have a feeling this is going to be a very busy week. So if you can get more of this done, great. Just placing the Word docs. That's it. Place, place, place. We can always move it to a different page. Our page palette too is amazing. We can literally move pages around. So if I need a reorder, I can move that page into a new position. I can add pages in between, just like the layers palette in Photoshop. We can insert new layers and move them and move them where we need them. Same, the page palette works pretty much in the same way. So you can add your text and click, 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 and we can get it done in short order. All right. So more and more people are going. Any questions before we go? All right, there'll be an announcement this afternoon about the milestone for the video storyboard. Okay. All right.
Caroline,
Yes.
so
Yes.
so about my storytelling.
What would you like to do for your storyboard?
I'm volunteering for the IRL festival. Could I
Right.
do
Yep,
yes,
you
I can
can
do that.
absolutely do one for them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And is the milestone is due Sunday 5 p.m., right? Storytelling.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I will put that in the announcements as well,
Okay,
along
thank you.
with the announcement where with the approved milestone.
Could you have time to check my magazine cover later?
Yeah, I'm going back into those again. Did you already had one, right?
Yes, but incompleted. With
Oh, it was
the
incomplete.
placement
Okay.
text. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I can go back in and I will be getting the comments and grades in for these movie posters as well today.
yeah, I already get. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Erin, are you still there? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, it's more, I have a question specific to me.
Oh, okay.
I can wait if anybody else has questions though.
Okay, Shane?
Yeah, so my question is about my magazine cover. I had a couple issues with it.
Yeah.
I was hoping, like, I have an appointment actually to get my car fixed because a squirrel ate through a cable in my car.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. You're just having one hell of a time with everything, aren't you?
Yeah, so like I was kind of hoping like tomorrow is a bit lighter for me.
Okay. Yeah, because I
was-
emailed you back to if we can pick a time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss. Like, what's a great time for you?
It would be after 3 p.m. tomorrow
Yep.
because I teach 2 classes tomorrow, morning and afternoon, or Wednesday. But yeah, I can do tomorrow after 3 if you want to email me and check your time to
Yeah.
confirm.
I can do it like at 4 o'clock if it doesn't keep you from dinner.